I've learned some things in my fairly short but growing photography career. One of those things is how to compose an image. And there are lots of rules on photo composition. The rule of thirds, which is where you break your composition into three specific areas, either horizontally or vertically. There's the leading lines idea, where you find lines that just kind of go deep into the picture and converge at a certain point. There's framing techniques where maybe you're shooting from inside a tunnel out or something, and you can get that natural frame around the image. The other one, I call it three interesting things. What can I look for in a composition that'll bring three interesting things into the shot? And I found that it adds just that extra bit of interest and makes the composition just a little more intriguing. So we're going to look at some shots here and kind of go through that concept, see what you think. Okay, let's first take a look at this photograph. This is a photograph of the Oceanside Pier in Oceanside, California. Most of these are from that same location that we're going to look at today. So the rule of three interesting things. If we have the sunset, the sky, super interesting on this night. We have the pier, interesting thing number two, and then the foreground, this really cool foreground of the guy sitting on a bench, and it looks like he's looking out at a picture of the scene, which I really liked. And we can compare that to a photo of just the pier at sunset, also beautiful, I think, but maybe just not having that extra bit of interest that this photo does, at least to me. But I really enjoy this photograph. I just like how it adds that extra level of mystery. You wonder what that guy is thinking and how his day was, and where he's going to go from here, which we don't have when we're looking just at this picture. Moving on to a different one, we'll just look at a couple of these here just to kind of talk about this idea. The three interesting things in this photograph, at least to me, are again the beautiful sunset sky, the foreground of the street, and then the middle of this photograph where we have the pier sitting in the middle of the photograph, just kind of hovering out there in the middle. This is a this is a good example of rule of thirds as well. So you have the top third of the sky, the middle third being the pier, and then the foreground third being the street. So this one's kind of a combination of the rule of thirds and three interesting things, which certainly go hand in hand. Let's move on to this photograph. This one's really interesting because I had found this spot when I was out on a walk during the afternoon and just made this mental note that I wanted to go back and shoot this picture because looking up that ramp, I just thought that'll be a really cool spot for sunset. So I came back at sunset with my tripod, got all set up, and I just kept waiting and waiting and waiting for the person in this photograph to go away, to skate down the hill or walk out of frame or whatever, because I didn't want him there. Eventually, I just started snapping pictures anyway while he was there, and I just love the result. So here are three interesting things: are the sunset sky, the foreground of this ramp with the cool wavy designs, and then that middle ground, that skater holding his phone with his skateboard up, and he's just sitting there waiting to go down the ramp, which he eventually did, and he just zoomed right past me. So here I am set up in the middle of the ramp. He's thinking, I can't wait for that guy to leave. I'm thinking, I can't wait for that guy to leave. He eventually went. I got my shot. He got his ride. All was good. But this is a really cool example, I think, of the three interesting things concept. Because without him, yeah, the photo is super interesting. It's really pretty. But again, it just doesn't have that extra, oh, that's cool. And sometimes you just don't really know what that factor is. But in this case, it added that third element that I really, really enjoy. This is a photograph we've looked at on the channel before, and it's a good example of three interesting things because we have the moon, the pier, and that really cool wave breaking. And without any of those other elements, it'd be a fine picture. If we didn't have the moon, it'd be like, okay, I mean, that's a nice picture of a wave. If we didn't have the wave, it's like, okay, it's a nice picture of the moon and the pier. But all three of those things together, I think, just really brings the composition together. And let's look at this one. This is a shot, it's perfectly pretty, but for me, there's two interesting things here, maybe the sunset and the foreground. Maybe if there is a surfer silhouetted rocking across the scene, or a sailboat lit up by the sunset, something, a pelican diving into the ocean, some sort of a third element that would really make this photo pop a little bit more. So there you have it. My thoughts on how to improve a photo composition. When you're out there, just think, what are three interesting things I can put in this composition that would really bring it to life? I hope you found this interesting, and we'll see you next time.